we'll at least get you in here so you can do your presentation. Okay. All right. Okay, just want to recap the judging criteria. So we're going to be looking for the most original work, the artistic experience, the technical excellence, and the presentation quality. So that's so judges take note on that. That's what we're going to be our criteria in judging and how we're going to pick our winner. Okay. So here's how we're going to do this. Each team is going to have about 5-ish minutes to kind of come up here and do a presentation on their game. They can show the game live. They can show some gameplay video, or in the case of the board game, just some maybe talking about how you play it and show some of the kind of features of that. And then it'd be good to probably share some things that you learned along the way, maybe some things that you thought were good that didn't work out, maybe what went right, what went wrong, kind of just some of those key takeaways that would be good to share with everyone. And then I just want to say thank you to all the judges and the volunteers that have helped put this together, and for UVU for hosting, the Utah IGDA who kicked it off last week, and then of course the Animation Expo guys, we appreciate your help, and also MSI for donating all of the computers that you're going to be using for the Blender Jam today, and also the Game Jam. And I want to give the biggest thanks to all of you who this past week put in a lot of hard work putting these games together. So I want to thank you for that. So let's give yourself All right. So with that, we're going to get on with the judging. We're going to go in the order of not that page.
So how do I submit, can you show me how to submit my game?
Yeah, so once there's a little button here. I might need to go in and let me take a moment and edit this, because I think we need to adjust this date here. So let's go to 11. Oh, right here. Okay, that should be enough. Okay.
Quick, extend the deadline.
Go down to the submit. Okay. All right, so if you go to itch.io, Animation Jam, there should be a button here that says Join the Jam. Are you seeing that now? Yeah, if that URL on the top there.
Can you blow it up? Or can you
Wouldn't be an accurate conference without some technical difficulties.
So unfortunately for the games that were created last week, if your game is not already in, it's not going to be part of the Game Jam today. However, you can still submit it, but it'll go in for future events. So we can help you with that during our break. We can help you get that all set up.
Yeah, we need to get moving on this. Okay. So let's go to the submissions here. Okay, so these are the ones that we've got in the jam, and we're going to go in order that they were submitted. So we're going to start with I'm probably going to murder the name here, the Kaiju Katsu Monster Seasons.
Yes.
Okay, let's have that team come on down.
And for those who were not here last week, there is a theme to all of our games. The theme to the games is seasons, and that was able to be interpreted by each team however they saw fit.
Mm.
Excuse me, let me make an one on the lighting.
Okay.
It'll be a lot better for
Oh, yeah.
presentation. sweet. So we are, as he said, Kaiju Katsu Monster Seasons. It is just your typical chibi cyberpunk cooking sim. It's a 2D RPG, turn-based. Let's fire it up.
Doesn't seem typical to me.
Right.
So that's the mom.
Oof.
We've got a couple characters you'll see. So the cutscene. Yeah, girl, read it. Yeah. Well, yeah, so we get a little cutscene. The mom and the daughter, they got a gig to cook for the corpos up at Taco Corp in the exec tower.
Skates. Monstrous meal.
Sweet, so she's got to get her items featuring some sweet pixel art. Couple of mods for her skates. And the mod-
Seasons.
Time to get cooking. So here's our combat phase. You get to choose between adding water, fire, chopping, and the monster seasoning. You got all the enemies out front, and the mom's gonna give you some dialogue about how, like, whether you did the right thing, what to do next, and then the status of the boss's health in her words there. And we can show you the good ending or the bad ending. We'll see if he remembers what to do.
The idea is like you're preparing ramen. It's supposed to be like a kind of cooking sim, but with an RPG spin on it, right?
Yeah, so as she gets these monstrous ingredients pacified back to normal, hopefully not ruin the dinner for all the corpos. Making use of her skate mods. Almost there. There it is.
Oh, actually, press left on the arrow. We can actually go back between slides too.
Oh, neat.
Sweet. So definitely some inspiration from some of our favorite cyberpunk games and shows. But that's the game. Couple cool things about it. Some of these guys learned some. What you were saying? You hadn't done a ton of Unity, and then tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, we pretty much had to learn Unity for the first time, and there were plenty of roadblocks related to that. Or I think we had a hard time with scoping in general is hard. I think there's like a unfortunate feedback loop you get into with game jams where it would be ideal if you could plan everything ahead of time and just know what to make and you just make it all. But you can't really do that. So you kind of plan some of it, make some of it, plan more, make a little more, and that just always makes inefficiencies. I'm sure everyone here relates to that to some degree. But yeah, so this took a lot more effort than we had anticipated.
Yeah, it was a great week though. Thanks to the Expo for the opportunity.
I was going to say something that I learned while making this. I did the art for it, but I was able to work with my dad, and he knows a little bit of Japanese. He knows a lot of Japanese, and he was able to help me figure out the name, how to write the name, and that the name is accidentally a pun. It is kaiju katsu, which katsu is a pork cutlet, but it can also mean victory. So, kaiju victory.
Cool. Yeah, so these guys, do you guys want to introduce yourself, like who you are and what you did on the project?
I'm Matthias. I helped with, so I did all the cutscenes, the coding behind the cutscenes, and I helped with the combat.
Yeah, I'm Corey. I did the really cool walking sim in the middle
Amazing.
part. Yeah, and I also helped with combat animations. Yeah, also learning new from scratch for this project, so pretty good.
Yeah, cool. I'm Mason. I did the combat stuff and various coding tasks.
And you did the art.
Yeah, I did the art. Hi, I'm Brienne.
Yeah. I'm Nathan. I did the writing, and then I teased the rest of the group and made all the dumb comments and jokes in Discord all week. So it was integral.
Team morale.
Team morale.
Was everything in the game you made this week, or was anything a previous asset?
Oh, we should say the two backgrounds were.
Not this background, but the gameplay backgrounds are
We got it off Google.
Google
Yeah.
image search.
But yeah, everything else was made from scratch.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks,
Cool.
guys. All right, next up, let's have C Sun. I see what you did there. Good job. Funny name. Yeah, C Sun.
You say punny name?
Funny name. Yes. Very funny.
I was going to say it's aggressive cooking, turn-based.
How do I hook this up?
There should be an HDMI cable floating around there. It's a black one.
It's the
Actually,
one
yeah,
connected
there
to
you
the
go.
dongle.
You got it in hand right there.
I said, where are you? Reset it. Okay, fine.
Ooh. This is the one JT we were working on.
All right.
JT, right?
Yeah.
JT.
Yep.
I wish he was here.
Yeah, he was.
Probably pipelining everything.
Probably time to reload it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this Godot?
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I had to learn it.
So there's a microphone right here if you want to speak into it.
Yes, the microphone. You don't have to, just leave it on the table, it's fine.
Where is sound? I turned the sound off. At one time. Does this not have sound through here? Maybe it does.
You may be able to pick a different sound up device on your computer.
Yeah, go into the volume settings.
Oh,
the
yeah.
bottom right.
Bottom right.
There. PC
Sorry.
settings itself.
I did most of my coding on a Mac.
Yeah,
That
it's
worked.
working.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I muted it.
It says it's muted.
It's muted in the browser.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So.
You may want to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
PC.
Um.
Drop to like 50.
There we go. All right, you play while we talk, okay? So this is our claymation search and find kind of platformer. So this is Seymour. His mom's birthday's today, and he's going to. He didn't have any money, so he's gonna go find some pearls to bring and make her a necklace. And so there's some pearls around, and he's gonna go explore his neighborhood and knock people out of the way and find pearls. You remember where they all are?
Most
Pretty
of
much
them.
found 'em. So yeah, we had fun doing this. We hand animated. Well, yeah.
Yeah, we hand animated most of it, and if, in between stuff, manipulate the graphics to give it more animation. There was a couple more animations in here, but getting the file size to upload, we had to take some of those out.
Yeah.
So this was actual clay?
Yeah.
Yeah. We modeled it.
Modeled the assets. I think he used ChatGPT for some coding.
Yeah, we used ChatGPT for the Godot because he had originally programmed in Scratch. So this was also a new venture into a new engine.
Yeah, so, and it's mobile friendly, so
You can play
you
it
can
on
play it on your
mobile.
phone. Let's see what else. So we had a fairly young team that hadn't animated before and hadn't done a lot of coding and stuff before, and so. Yeah.
How many people in your team was this their first time doing anything, making a game?
Plus,
A little bit.
Basically everybody?
I've
Pretty
attempted
much,
to do
yeah.
coding, but none of that sticks.
yeah, it was really fun learning the new engine, seeing the possibilities. Like making sprites and GIFs and stuff I've done before, but never put it into a game. So
Yeah. So it was all of us, JT and Pickles on Discord doing remote work and all that.
Nice.
So trying to
Yeah.
collaborate with all that.
and so let's see, what else were we supposed to say?
Like who did what?
So Joseph did some modeling
And, like-
concepts, animation concepts, and
Cutting out assets,
Cutting out
animating
assets.
them, some level design and all that. A bit of direction, I guess.
I was on animation, sound, and some concepts. And then JT did a lot of the coding and helped me with Godot because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Very cool.
Go to the palm trees and we can
Yeah.
finish it. Yeah, so he searches around. I think, what did you end up finding them all?
Maybe.
Like yeah, I think there might be 10 to 15 or pearls to find. So they're all over in the Discord. If you go to it, there's a map that kind of shows you how big the play area is.
And I guess thinking about the game mechanics and all that, we went through a whole bunch of stages. My original thought was you move left and right and kind of move bob up and down like a Mario game.
Or Flappy Bird.
Yeah,
Or Flappy Bird and all that. That was one of the big things that got us onto there.
Yeah. We were thinking about platformers, but then
Yeah, where you could only pop like 4 times and you would use the platforms to do that. But going throughout the engine and figuring things out kept evolving through every time and every step and all that.
yeah, so we got some enemies you can push around, some that are static. Yeah, I think.
You guys want to introduce those of your team who are here today?
So my name is Donald Jennings. This is my son Joseph, and this is Josh. Probably gonna mess it up. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, Joshua Baldy.
And then there was the 2 on the line. JT's probably having a nap right now.
Probably.
Awesome.
All right.
Is there a conclusion for finding all of the girls?
Just look around.
Yeah, there's a
Cool.
in-game sound, but
Yeah, if you like the kind of sparkle sound.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Should you tell them a little bit about the story?
I did.
Not like, and then you're gonna show them.
Wow. What's that?
And it's just no.
Okay.
Exchange around.
Well, yeah, it was fun. I mean, thanks for providing this outlet.
It's the first time I've ever seen the clay video game. It's really cool concept, guys.
It's cool. All right.
Good work, guys.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're gonna have the Golden Spork.
Awesome. Will we be able to set up our board game on this table by the microphone? We would like to.
Don't mess with my pie.
We would love to set this up and just like play some of it for you guys.
Be careful about the microphone though, it's very
Yes.
sensitive and good.
We won't touch it necessarily. But will you be able to get the presentation going?
Yeah, I should be.
Would
Nice.
this blank
Would the mic-
area be better for it?
This area? Yeah, we could maybe play right there.
Yeah, if you wanna just
Okay.
move the cord so that the camera can get a better
This is
angle
the mic.
anyways.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
You need,
Awesome.
is it
That one.
that one?
Yeah.
Do that.
Well, I'm gonna get this stuff set up. This is our team. This is Brooke on the computer. She has done all of the illustrations of our characters. This is Amanda. She has done the card illustrations. We have some card abilities. She also got this pamphlet all put together and printed out. She printed out the cards. I am Dallin. I built this physical board game, the Mountain, and the Spork, and I did the logo. And I was able to print out these little characters as well. And then this is Kevin, and he wrote up the typing of the rules. He wrote up some of the flavor text as well. And so, yeah, this is our team. We also had Caleb, who did the background, and so this is the logo. If you run to the next, Caleb did this background of our mountain and the spork. All right, so our game is the Golden Spork. Do you want me to just run away with it, or did anyone else want to? Okay, so our game is the Golden Spork. We have a king of the land. He wants the best meal ever, and he's got all the spices because he is the king. And he told everybody, hey, come battle to be my chef, and if you win, you'll get paid handsomely. What I need you to do to find out who the best one is I need you to go to the top of this mountain and get the Golden Spork and bring it back to me. And so, who has showed up to this awesome adventure? We have 4 heroic characters. We'll show you the board real quick here in the pictures, because it's kind of small up here. You can also see it afterwards. But we have a mountain that spirals up with squares. And so, the way the game works is we're going to be rolling dice and running up the squares and fighting each other. So if you'll go through real quick, let's talk about the characters, and then there's a picture of our game as well with the cards. So we have the soup night, and we have some flavor text here. Who wrote the flavor text? You did?
She did
Yeah.
the character.
Okay. So if you want to say anything about the soup night, now's your chance.
You can
Who
just
knows?
read
I'll
that,
just,
that's
okay. Well, let's just go through the characters, because
Okay.
I want
That's
to
kinda
get into
loud,
playing this
so-
real quick. Oh yeah, they have abilities. His is the soup lid block. And then we have the red pepper rogue, who uses spice bombs. Go ahead. And then the sage mage, Sage the mage. She has an invisibility screen. We'll go over what these abilities do. And then this is the regular guy, The regular guy showed up. He's got a backpack full of stuff. That's kind of his superpower. He's able to, use whatever he's got in his backpack, which we can see here is the banana peel. And so these are our contenders for the Golden Spork. And so let's get into the gameplay real quick. And what we do is we have these abilities that we talked about. Now these abilities are all going to do a similar thing. And then we also have another card called the Tumultuous Tunnel. Now on this mountain, we have a tunnel that goes through the mountain. There's actually a tea light under here as well we can turn on. And so if you land on one of the black squares for the tunnel, you can go through to the other side. That's one of the gameplay features. So let's go over the game real quick and we'll play it for you because it's actually a really fast game. So we're each going to take a character and we each have one of our ability cards. And what we do is we run all at the same time. So let's all grab a dice real quick and we'll just show them how it rolls. So we all grab the dice and then I'll grab a character. And so we roll to run at the same time. And then 2 of us got a 1 and a 4 and a 6. So the 2 of us who land on square 1, we're now going to roll dice against each other because we have to fight. We were landed on the same square. So whoever rolled a 1, roll that with me to fight. I got a 2, you got a 3. Now I'm knocked out because I lost the fight. So I can choose to use my ability card. Since I'm regular guy, it's going to be my banana peel. This is my escape mechanism. I'm either going to be knocked out and lose a turn, or I could use this card and be not knocked out and be able to run next turn. I'm not going to use it yet, so that means I'm knocked out. Since I'm knocked out, the 3 of them now run further up the mountain. So go ahead and roll your dice real quick. Awesome. And so we all roll at the same time. Now I've landed on the square with the soup knight. So me and the soup knight are going to have a little tussle. I got a 5, he got a 1. So, oh wait, was I knocked out for this round? Sorry. Okay, I was knocked out. You guys keep going. Sorry, I'm juggling the game and speaking. Okay, so nobody's on square, so roll one more time. Let's run all again. So now I'm not knocked out. Okay, sweet. And one of us has landed on the tunnel tile. So it's me, I'm gonna just burn my tunnel card. I can now pop out at the other side of the tunnel. But you can only use that once per game. So let's do real quick and pretend that one of us has gotten to the top. So Red Pepper Rogue has now gone through, we fought and we've gotten to the top. And our characters are kind of spread out. Now, once she gets to the top, she is now in possession of the golden spork. She's got that now, Brooke does. And now we're going to continue running, but now the person with the golden spork has to run back down the mountain. And the way the rules go is if you have the spork, you activate first. And if you run into somebody, you have to stop. And basically at the end of the turn, you will fight them. So if we all run at this point in time,
Brooke runs first.
Brooke will run first because she has the spork. She only goes 1 square, so she doesn't run into anybody. But now we all run simultaneously. So the soup knight, who rolled a 4, will just stop at the spork because they want to get it from them. And then we'll all run up as well, but we don't really make it. So now they fight for the spork. Oh, the soup knight wins. Or wait, who won? Okay, Brooke won. So she still has the spork. He can either be knocked out, or he can use his ability and not be knocked out. He uses it. He used his soup lid shield block. So now everyone can run again because nobody's knocked out, but the winner has the spork, which is still Brooke. I'm sorry, I rolled the wrong die.
It's fine.
Yeah, me too.
So you move first, and then she starts going down the mountain. Now she ran into a character, so you have to stop there. And whatever we rolled, we go towards the spork, so we can all fight.
So we all fight.
Did you make it to the spork?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, so you 3 fight.
3 of us fight.
I got a 5.
I got a 5 as well.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
got
They tied, so a tie, you just keep going.
a 5.
All right, you got it, now he's got it. And do you want to use your ability?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's using her ability.
So I got a 2.
Is that for the run?
Yeah.
Okay.
You run
So
first.
who's running? Who else is rolling?
Well, you run first because you have the sport.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. So we keep doing this, and we had a practice game out there. It was stellar. But I don't want to run through I don't know. I don't want to take too much time. Do you guys? Should we keep going, or should we call it good?
We can call it good.
Okay, we'll call it good. We kind of showed you the mechanics. But we've had a couple games of this where it's been awesome. One of us took the tunnel up, but then on the way back down, someone took the tunnel to cut off somebody. So you'll have to give it a try. If you want to, we'll have it around. We had a blast with it. So yeah, that's kind of the best that we can show it to you, but I definitely don't want to drag it out either. So, because it's probably more fun if you're actually playing it or can see it completely. So yeah, we've kind of gone through everything. So that is our game, the Golden Sport.
All right, thanks, guys. Next up, we're going to have Season of Silence.
All right, and we can put this in here. And and all the little stuff in
Is
there.
that team here, Season of Silence?
Is that your team, James?
Crickets, Silence?
Thank
No?
you guys.
Yes, no?
I'm gonna say now.
All right, well, let's move to Duck Dash, open season then. Those guys here? Okay.
How did this
All
work?
right, yeah.
So there's a bunch of cables right there.
You can plug in right here. This,
Well, let's
is
see
it
if I-
VGA or, is it like a, oh, yeah, you've got a micro, what do they call those things?
Micro USB.
Micro display port?
Yeah, downsides of being a Microsoft Surface, I guess.
Is that, no, that's USB-C.
Well, shucks. Is there a USB? I've got a USB right here that I just need to remove.
No,
Jonathan, if you want,
unless
like
you've got a USB to USB.
No, we'll have to switch laptops really quick.
that's okay.
I
I know.
One port that you need.
It's all right. So we have this one, and it's just a USB or a HDMI.
It's micro.
You have a micro display port if you
Do you
need.
still want to do?
Yep, I'll just present your laptop.
Okay, all right.
Interesting. There it is.
Oh, that's mini display port.
Yep.
Yeah, they should have a mini display port, but probably should.
Okay. I don't think the audio. Let me see. How do we check where the audio goes to?
System settings, sound pull down.
Technical difficulties.
Always.
But the background sounds. Background sound. I don't know. What if I just use? I mean,
So if you go back to your system preferences,
sure.
on the side where it says sound, just pick the one that says sound. It's about halfway down the sidebar.
Sound.
It's red.
This thing.
Yes, there. And then
Play.
Output, sir.
Wait, what do you see output?
Select sound output designs.
play sound effects through.
Right there.
Stop pointing at stuff. What are you guys pointing at? This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that I was
MacBook
just pointing
speakers. Crest on.
at, the Crestron, probably.
Crest on. No.
Jack up the volume as much.
I'll just crank up the volume. You can hear from the MacBook. Okay.
Okay, cool. So, we are Team Duck Dash. Our whole game kind of started with us playing around with the idea of seasons, and we eventually landed on the term open season, and we thought about hunting. What if instead of being the hunter, you are the thing that is being hunted? So this is basically Duck Hunt, but what if you're the duck? And the whole goal of this game is to outrun the reticle and survive for as long as possible with your tiny wings that only let you do a double jump. Yeah, it's a very simple game, very simple presentation. You're a duck, don't die, don't get shot. I guess to present the members of our team, I'm Jonathan. I was in charge of level design and about, I don't know, like half the visual development.
I'm Megan. I designed the duck character and did all the animations for the duck.
I'm Ashlyn. I programmed all of I programmed the level that he designed, and then I programmed the duck character that she designed and put in all the animations.
Yeah. We also had another person here.
Yeah.
Eden, and they couldn't come today. But they did the reticle following, like the kind of lerping to where the character is. And then they did the simple sprite sheet for it, like actually shooting and stuff. I did some like just technical project stuff or technical project management nonsense. I did do a couple of like just odd fixes with just like the code that we had, just like sound stuff and movement stuff, basic stuff, and that's it. Yeah.
I did like the music, like the background music, the duck quack when it jumps, and the little like feet tapping on the ground. So I did all like the music.
Yeah, how do you do that?
And I think it's not implemented, but when the reticle turns pink and you see the little thing.
The squiggle thing.
Yeah, the squiggle thing. It's supposed to hit.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been implemented, unfortunately, because the person I think that had that didn't show up.
So we just ran out of time.
We ran out of time, unfortunately, but that's the basic idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, like process, like the whole development phase was really fun. We had to wind up scoping down quite a bit. I think the biggest difficulty we ran into was pipeline. We used Game Maker Studios to create our game, which was new for about
most of us.
like 60% of our team. So yeah, it wound up being quite a fun experience in the pipeline things, trying to get everyone to figure out things while also all being in different parts of Utah, not being able to meet up in person.
Right. But yeah.
This is our game, Duck Dash, and we hope to get it more refined and finished as soon as possible.
Thanks, guys. All right, last call for Season of Silence. Anyone here for our Season of Silence? Okay. Do we want to let the judges deliberate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
to the lady that hadn't got it in, do you want to come and at least show your work if you want while the judges are deliberating?
You get into our physical goods.
Where do I put this? In here?
Yeah, you can.
Then I just need to find exactly where it is.
Oh, hold on.
That's a different computer.
Here, you can use mine.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm a little disoriented because I have a little bit of science impression.
Gotcha.
But I always go to class anyway.
Okay. Yeah, you can stick that in the.
I just need to find exactly where it is. You can resume until I have it uploaded. Sorry. Oh, you're good. Just trying to find exactly where it is. It's somewhere in game classroom. I'm just trying to. Is it test 3 maybe? This is an Unreal project. Is this it or? Let me open with Unreal.
I don't have Unreal installed on this machine, but do you have a build? An actual.
In Unreal, I just don't have it exported.
Is it Unreal 4 or 5?
5.
5. You may want to grab one of these that has Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, the one that I have has Unreal Engine as well.
The computer?
The computer that's up there, it has Unreal.
Is it running on there?
I'm going to check. I'm going to try on one of those.
Okay. This one should have Unreal.
Just have to open it up in Unreal. I do have something running here, not completely done. It's unfinished. See if I can get it up and working. I'm sorry this is so complicated.
Used to the technical difficulty.
I was.
I was trying to get my character to be able to write with a pen, but let's see. It's in there. The mouse isn't working, I don't think. This mouse doesn't work. That's easier for me to do it with a mouse. So do you know what's wrong with the mouse if it's not working?
Oh, really? That is very odd.
I have all sorts of glitches going on, so. That's not what I.
There you go.
Thank you. Let me get it uploaded. Let's go into the folder. Hopefully it lets me in. Game Classroom. I think it's under test 3. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see if it'll open, because sometimes it takes. What? Do I just say allow access?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't want to do any.
Don't
Yeah,
worry
I
about
just.
it. These things will probably get reset before they're sent back.
Yeah, I was working on it the last.
Yeah, these are loaner machines.
Just trying to get. It's taking a while for Unreal to load as it's supposed to. Let's see. Yeah, it is loading. It's the shaders that are the problem. It's always the shaders.
Yeah.
But I do have at least the ability to move the figure, but I'm trying to get it into VR and I'm trying to get it to write.
Oh, gotcha.
It doesn't have any of the seasons, but I can put that in at a later time. Come on. Yeah. This part. Shaders. And I did get some of the textures to work too. Looks like it's gonna be I'm sorry, it looks like it's gonna be a few minutes, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Okay.
So if you already had it on the laptop, see if you can get it open on that laptop while this one maybe works.
Well, except it's on my disk.
Oh,
That's
you
enough.
have it on one disk. Okay, all right, makes sense.
Yeah, I have it at my home computer, but
Gotcha.
sometimes it takes a few minutes for it to go through the shaders. That's what I've noticed. Yep. Does it take a while for you because of the shaders?
Not fun if you're waiting for it.
No.
I still have a lot of work to
They're
go.
fun when they work.
Shaders fun when they work. Tia.
Looks like it's counting down, so as soon as it counts down, I think it'll load. Doing the best I can. This has a lot of glitches because of what the goal I'm going for. The goal I'm going for is I'm trying to create an elementary school class that kids can put on the VR helmet and even attend while they're outside of class. I mean, the one that already invented it, it's inside class. Mine is outside. So there's a difference. Let's see. It's almost there. Sorry, I have a little sinus infection.
Believe me, I get those all the time.
Yeah, I have bad immunity too. One of my pills.
During the winter, it's
The season that affects me the most is the summer. Oh. Okay, come on. Okay. We got it. We got it. Hopefully now I can get it to work. This is what I've got so far. I don't know why the textures aren't working, but
Oh, they're just streaming in over
yeah,
USB.
I got it from Metaverse. Okay, and then I just click here to see my character can run around. It can't sit yet, but yes, I designed all these textures, like the one for the rug, and my character can jump. This is what I've got so far, but I want the person in VR to be able to control it. So there's a long ways to go. I was trying to get this person to write on the board glitches, but this is what I got so far, and I've done this on pretty much mostly on my own, except for the tutorials.
Impressive.
Is this your first experience with Unreal Engine?
I had a class last semester, and I'm going to have a class this semester. I'll keep working on it till it, and if you want me to put season in there, I could put a window that has spring, summer, fall, and winter out of it. Okay. That's what I've got.
Awesome. All right.
Even if I can't enter the contest, that's perfectly fine. I'm doing it for the kids. Doing it for the
All right.
kids.
Well, thank you so much. All right. Just as an aside, let's see. Let me switch this out. You got your decision? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Just 1 second. Okay, just as an aside, guys, you can go and just for fun, you for I think until round 2 or 3, you can go and vote for your own favorites here. If you go into one and you can do your rating here, just a viewer rating. So you're welcome to do that. That's just for fun. So yeah, you can pick your own favorite that way. But
Nice.
again, that's just for fun. But
We'll post that link to our Discord so that if you guys are on our Discord, you can go ahead and join that. If you are not on our Discord, go to our website, go to the bottom, and join our Discord. We have deliberated. It was a tough decision. There was a lot of back and forth, but the winner, can we get a drum roll? Wait, can I get all the names of the winners again?
yeah, let me
All the names of the...
let me put back up. Extra long drum roll.
Wait, sorry, that was, I know it like pittered out. I want to make sure I get your name right when I announce you. I won't look at your password.
Oh, it's
Now everyone knows his password is dot, dot, dot,
it's
dot,
dot dot dot. Okay.
All right, so the winning team is, once again, drum roll please, once again. Okay, the winning team is the Golden Spork. Come on down, Golden Spork.
Oh.
I don't know.
You might want to make your page public, just FYI. But
There's 4 of us. I don't see Kevin though.
Well, I think he's outside of registration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, congratulations. Rodan,
Wow,
would you
thank
like
you.
to say anything?
No, so you had somebody that was not here.
We did, an
Okay.
illustrator.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
You need a family commitment, right, I think?
all right, so there's 5 of you on the team,
Yeah.
and we have,
Awesome,
5 to
perfect.
that was the deciding factor.
Yeah.
No,
That was it.
no, actually, no.
These are
Yeah,
our
yeah.
trophies, so this is the first of an annual game jam that we'll be doing. Congratulations, guys, come up and get your trophies.
Thank you.
And then we'll take pictures, give you your names, and then you will have them engraved with your names on them. So there you
Okay.
go.
all right, let's give them a big hand.
Awesome.
Do you have contact with your person who wasn't here?
Yeah, we'll see him probably. Yeah, we'll see him.
Okay, so who wants to take?
You guys all get your own and grab a picture.
I can take it. Or we'll talk about that.
Okay, all right.
Renee, can you get the lights, please?
You betcha.
You live close in? Right, but they're kind of all remote right now.
Bring together,
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after. All right.
I'm sure we could get it to him, it's not that big a
Over
deal.
here. Ready? Yay! Hold it up like you're happy. Nice. Congrats, guys. It was a really tough choice. Everyone did an absolutely fantastic job, from the first Claymation video game that we've ever seen to a really awesome cooking demonstration. We had some really fantastic visual work in the duck hunt game. We really liked that one as well. So it was definitely a tough decision. So
Oh yeah, let's probably scoot it back over.
We could just leave it right there. It's fine. Oh, it's in the back. It's in the back, yeah.
Let's see. Damage the screen with those adapters. There we go.
Oh, okay.
All right. Is that a comfortable angle? I don't know what angle you're in.
Yep. Right here. That works perfect. All right.
So you guys are welcome to sit back down. And yeah,
That's gonna come out.
Is off. Alrighty.
So,
You want this adjusted again, the light?
We can do it after we introduce ourselves. I got it. You guys want to come out over here with the emerald?
Well, everybody is here for the Blender training. Thanks for coming. My name is Admiral Potato. I help run the Salt Lake Blender user group. And we're actually really privileged to have the opportunity to have a couple of really awesome instructors here to help you all with the workshop part of today. I really want to make sure that there we go. These two guys right here put a lot of effort into building this presentation, the curriculum that you'll be training on today, and it wouldn't have happened without their effort. So thank you to Jordan for reaching out to our group to provide the opportunity to give you guys some in-person Blender training, and also thank you, Jordan, for the opportunity to stream this presentation to YouTube so that our Discord server can also join. The Salt Lake Blender user group. We want to make sure that you all have the opportunity to join us on our Discord server, which is where we primarily meet. Like you can scan the QR code or just Google the name, SLC Blender User Group. And we'd love to see you there. We are a community all about helping people learn how to use Blender, share cool stuff that you've made with it, inspiration, and most importantly, helping everyone learn, make progress, and don't be intimidated by it. It's a big tool. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with it. And we're excited to help you learn it. So come join our Discord. We'd love to help you learn more. And with that, let's see, we've got...
I'm Spencer. We'll go more into introducing ourselves. We'll at least give our names now, but I'm Spencer. I'll be helping with presenting. Just give our names.
I'm Connor. I helped make the blend file, and I've been studying the technique and workflow for this for about 1.5 years now.
I'm Dan, and I'll help be an instructor for today.
I'm the other Spencer, and I'm also just going to go home and help.
Right on. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
Awesome. Do you want to break people out now? Divide the room.
I think we'll probably just divide the room after the presentation.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So, there is a lot of different skill levels in terms of Blender users. For some of you, this may be your first time really delving into Blender. That's okay. We also know some of you that are very comfortable with Blender or even other 3D softwares. And that's why we have different volunteers here that can accommodate to different skill levels. We'll go more into that after the presentation and when we get to the actual workshopping. But just so you know, if you feel like you're just beginning and you need help, don't be afraid to ask. If you're also professional that feels like you need more of the higher end questions, don't hesitate to ask. All right, so we're all here for, we're getting into the hand-drawn stylized look using Blender.
All right, take it away. So with that, we'll go ahead and start with just our objective and a couple examples of the type of quality and really just models you can really pull off with this style. A lot of these, well, all of these are designed with the plan of being animated and having it be an animation. So this process and a lot of the techniques behind it definitely focus on making sure that it can be animated. So it's definitely very focused on just managing your models mostly. So we'll go ahead.
And then, so we'll just get the big question out of the way of why use 3D at all? Why not just do 2D and just draw everything? And the first thing I'll say to that is, why not both? just saw this with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse that just came out recently, as well as the prequel Into the Spider-Verse. They actually used a lot of hybrid usage of both, using drawn 2D pieces as well as 3D animation and put it all together. And so you can always introduce those 2D pieces after the fact or to enhance your 3D characters and animation. But the 3D will only help you as well as make things faster. The first one is that, firstly, just when the computer's doing a lot of that work, you can save time of creation per frame. Instead of having to draw each piece per frame, you can maybe do just the main important pieces at a couple frames, and then the computer can help interpolate all the middle part together. And along with that, the computer can do a lot of those, a lot of that tedious overhead for you. One of the obvious examples is with 3D depth and angles. It's easy to draw a character from one angle. It's a little bit different from making a character that looks good and consistent at different angles and even different lighting conditions, which we'll also go into. And with the computer, and especially with Blender, it can handle a lot of those things where you don't even have to think about it. You can tweak things, and it can just update as you go for you. And we want to also introduce of why we like to use Blender, because we don't want it to just be advocating for something that we don't personally use ourselves.
Can you stand a little closer, please?
Of course. I can see on both sides. I'm okay with that. So we wanted to also share very quickly of why we love using Blender personally and how we know it will help you. And so we'll go through each of us and just briefly share how we've used Blender and why we use Blender. So first we'll go off with Admiral Potato, who wants to.
Sure. Well, one of the first and most important reasons that I like to use and particularly share Blender is because of its shareability. As you all probably know, it's free, it's open source. And I spent a lot of time mentoring kids at what used to be called the Sorensen Multicultural Center. They didn't have a lot of resources at home. They would never have been able to afford Maya. They would never have been able to afford, well, literally any software. So Blender was a piece of software I could give them on a USB stick. They could take it home and have the opportunity to play with it there. It's for everyone, and that's one of the things that's most important to me about it. But you can also use it for, like, you can use it for making all kinds of animations, like what we're going to be doing today. You can use it for making video game assets, and I mean, really just the freedom of it is one of the most important aspects of it to me, and the chance to share with others. You don't get that with anything else right now, so that's one of the reasons I enjoy sharing it so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Since I'm next on the board, I'll go. So for me, I started with Blender around 10 years ago. I was just kind of tinkering and playing around as a kid of wanting to, wasn't sure if I wanted to do games or movies or different types of things, but I started playing with it and creating with it. And over time, as I slowly got better over the years, I was able to make an art portfolio, which helped me to get into making short films. I helped with a lot of local short films in Utah that has gone to festivals. I've worked as a compositor for BYTV, and that's what led to the portfolio for this. Thank you. And so having Blender has helped a lot with my artistic process and being able to get into the places I wanted to go with art. And DreamWorks is where I currently am with that. I'm a programmer with them. And so being able to use Blender has helped a lot with that artistic freedom. Now with Spencer, we'll go on to the next Spencer.
Yeah. And I'm just a hobbyist. I use Blender because it's free, open source, and it's fun. I like to use it to model game assets. I do some amateur game development. And I actually really like it for using like prototyping real world objects. I have a laser cutter and I like to do woodworking projects, and it's fun to like model them up in that and texture them and see how it would look rather than actually having to try and build the thing in real life and then be like, oh no, actually I wish I did it different. It's really great for that sort of thing. It's fun for animations and stuff. I don't know, it's a really complex and powerful tool, and there's all sorts of different fun things to do with it, so. Yeah.
Once again, I'm Connor. As far as Blender and the reason that I primarily use it is fundamentally it's just the versatility of Blender. It's exactly just the limitations of Blender is just kind of limitless in some aspects, down to modeling, animation, creating video game assets. You can even, like I said, there's a lot of people who do it for production, for engineering. But not only that, it's honestly the community behind Blender is, if you're having an issue with Blender, there's someone who's had that issue before and has given the way to fix it. And our Discord server, as Admiral mentioned, is one of the best places to go to. I've used it, countless times, and will continue to do it countless times, because chances are if you run into an issue, someone else has run into that issue and will be able to help you work through it. Dan, you want to come up?
Yeah, I'm Dan, and one of the reasons why I like to use Blender is, first of all, for the prototyping and design phase of product development. I have a background in engineering, and so in university we were started out with SolidWorks, and so I have a background in modeling, but I read Blender recently for the same reasons, but then also quickly found out you can animate your objects and give it a way better, much more visual appeal and showing off your digital assets. So I got into the 3D aspects and the physical and the physics engine behind that, and I thought that was really neat. And then I also got into some of the 2D stuff, doing some game development with Admiral. So doing the really complex 3D design, and then taking your output down into the sprite sheets and kind of breaking it down into a smaller asset. So it's pretty versatile. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Yeah, and so now let's get into what we're actually going to be helping make. So we created a starter file with much help, but this is the kind of like the template that we're going to go for. So this is going to be initially a tutorial in the sense that will give you steps on how to create different pieces, but we want you to also be able to take time to experiment, to tinker, to play around with the scene, to give you a chance to make it your own, as well as to learn Blender in the best way, which is just by experimenting. And so we have given the starter files. They're going to be on all your computers. They should just all be on the desktop. So you can start opening that, but we'll get into the...
Should be on your desktop. It's alpha file v5.
It'll be .blend is the file extension. But yeah, so with Blender, there's a lot of pieces we can go into, and we can always expand on them in the workshop. But we're going to focus on a few essential steps that are part of this 2D style that we want to go into. And the first one that we want to do is just the stylized materials themselves, kind of that cel-shaded flat look, but also want it to be able to interact with lighting to take advantage of the 3D aspect and allow you to tweak the lighting of your scene easily with the materials just updating for you. And then the second part is the line art, which is making the outline of your characters, kind of like that black stroke that you usually see for comics. Luckily with Blender, it can generate those for you, and you can even customize it based on the materials as well as just the overall shape of your mesh. The third thing is the character rig and asset library. As you can see, there is a little cartoon character at the end. We're going to show you how to go through various poses of the character that are pre-made, as well as how to animate the character so you can be able to have them wave or smile or however you want to animate them. And then finally, the animating itself, which I just skipped ahead with. And then finally, of rendering. So we can't, unfortunately, just give the blend file to everyone because it's only openable in Blender. So we're going to teach you of how to export, use it to images or to a video, and how to best be able to export it and be able to share it with others. So first, the materials. As you can see with the shading, it's just materials is just all of the surfaces and how to describe the surface of those materials to Blender. And we'll have Connor go into how to add those stylized materials to your scene.
Thank you for that. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to jump directly into the Blender file that I provided with all of you guys here. When you open it, it'll probably default to just this sequence right here. Once again, we're going to split up this presentation into 5 steps. We mentioned just the materials, the outlining, the character animation and asset library, and then of course rendering there at the end. Let's go ahead though, for the sake of cohesion and example, we're going to go up to the shading tab and address the materials first. So up at the very top. Of course, for any of you who are just new to Blender, or if I'm going too fast for you, we can address any questions or concerns you have after the presentation in the hands-on workshop. So, you know, we'll have a time for questions. But for this, specifically with the shading and materials, we've taken this main building here in the center and intentionally left it blank so that you guys can texture it yourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and up here into the main center building collection, I'm just going to, right click, and I'm going to select all the objects here. And just for the sake of presentation, if you press the / on your keypad, it'll isolate it so that only the building here remains. So we'll go ahead and create, So select all of the objects of the building and press the / key on the number pad. So just the divide key on the number pad on the far right. And it will isolate all the objects you have selected. Very convenient Blender tool. I use it all of the time. Just makes your workflow so much simpler. So we'll go ahead and just directly jump into making the cell shader itself. So we'll go ahead and start by creating a new material here. And when you create a new material, it'll by default create this principal DF, which is essentially just how the normal Blender will calculate it. And we're going to go ahead and just delete that. So by pressing the X key, I went ahead and deleted it. Now, the way Blender calculates shading is they calculate it on a gradient from dark to white. And what we're essentially going to be doing is having Blender not calculate the gradient. So it'll be calculating just 2 colors, just both of the extremes. So to start, we'll go ahead and press Shift-A to add a node. And what we're going to add first is the diffuse BSDF, which will essentially change the lighting on it. And then we will also go ahead and add a shader to RGB. So what this is doing is it's taking the normal just shader and materials that Blender calculates and is transferring it just to the simple solid colors of RGB. And then to complete the shader, we'll add just a simple color ramp so that we can control the actual colors of it. Now, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to connect everything together here. And as you can see just here in the center, it's still shaded with a gradient. So to change that, we're going to go to linear here on the color ramp and change it to constant. So, and we'll just move this over. And as you can see, it is now black and white. So just like that, so by default, it's going to be over here. So just take your white color and slide it over. And from there, you get your cell shaded look. Literally just black and white, both extremes on the spectrum. And from there, what you can just simply do, click the color just there at the bottom, and you can select whatever color you want. So we'll do just a nice blue color here. And then for the dark, I'm going to do another useful Blender shortcut. Once again, we'll go over any questions if I'm going too fast, and I can reiterate anything later. But if you press the E key while hovering over a color, it'll give you this eyedropper tool, which you can then click any color on the Blender page, and it will automatically pull that. So I'm going to select that same blue color, click it again, and simply just make it darker. So, and literally, that's just it. there is your shader. There is the cell shading the extremes on both sides. With more complex shapes, you may want to change, you may want less or more of it to be darker or lighter. And the simple way to mitigate that is you can literally just move the slider here to change how much of it is affected by the dark color and how much of it is affected by the light color. So you can literally just kind of adjust it until it looks to about what you would like it to be. So with that then, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and apply that same material that I just created here. Let's see. So with it, I just have it named as material for the moment, so I will just select it and add it to the entire building. All right. And then with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next step of the presentation here and address the line art here. Once again, I know I'm kind of speeding through it here, but we'll address any questions and concerns after during the hands-on workshop. So then we'll go ahead and address the line art here. Pass it back over to Spencer.
Thank you for doing the demo. And we'll keep going, and we'll continue to answer questions as we get into the workshop. But the next big piece is the line art, which again is that outline look. As you can kind of see with the character, there's that little black outline surrounding his face and separating him or her from the background. And the nice thing is Blender can generate these for you, and you can even customize a lot of it. So these outlines, Blender actually treats them as its own object. So it's not attached to your character directly, but the nice thing is then that allows you to be able to say, if you do it for a character, but it's like, actually I want to change this to be for a different character, then you can just simply switch between them. And there's also on the side, you see the little wrench tab, that when you create this line art object, you can add modifiers to them. And modifiers, you can think of them as like effects in Photoshop, where it makes a non-destructive change to the outlines. So for example, you can have it do these little gaps in between, or you can have it be not an exact outline, but maybe have it a little bit more wobbly, like the eyes. And so you can add some irregularity to make it feel a little more natural, as opposed to just a straight line or curve around the character. And so with that, we'll share how you can add these line art objects and create these outlines.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and just hop back to that same Blender file and just go off of that same main building. Now, the thing with the line art specifically is what we're doing is we're generating the line art on top of the object in real time. And the way that works is based off of the camera's position specifically. Now, for just the sake of this presentation and try to make it as cohesive as possible, I've already pre-animated the camera for you, so you don't have to worry about animating the camera as far as that's concerned. So in order to properly showcase this, I'm going to press 0 on the number pad to go into camera view. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit the arrow key, just the left arrow key, to reverse the frames just far enough to just get a better look on the building to showcase this. With that then, we'll go ahead and add the line art object here. So if you press Shift A while in object mode, it'll bring up this whole series here. And we'll go down to Grease Pencil and add a collection line art. And as you can see, it has already just automatically generated the line art right on top of it. With that, the lines are a little bit messy, kind of thick, and just kind of all over the place. So what we're going to do then is, as you mentioned, we're going to click this little wrench icon up here in the modifier tab on the right. And from here, this is where you can really just fine-tune the line art to look the way you need it to. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the line thickness and just turn it down a little bit to something a little bit more manageable. Now, with this, while we're in object mode, as you can see, it's kind of outlined and it's kind of hard to tell exactly like what it's going to look like. What you can do is if you go up here on the far right to show overlays, it's just simply click it to turn it off. That way you can just properly see what the line art is going to look like without the outline getting in your way. So I'll go ahead and just adjust the line thickness to something a little bit more manageable here. And by default, so this line art object is affecting only the objects that are in the collection specifically. So if all of the objects in your scene are just in one collection, the line art will affect all of them. And sometimes you don't necessarily want that because you want to have the control of modifying the line art separately for objects. And so the way to essentially do that is put your objects into separate collections, which is why this main building here is in this one collection here. Now, luckily, because I had the building selected, when I added the line art, it automatically applied it to the building in the collection. However, if it doesn't, you can always just go in here on the collection under the modifier and select what collection you want it to be withdrawn from. So if for whatever reason when you add it, it doesn't affect the building, just simply go down here and collect the main center building collection, which I've marked as yellow. And it'll affect the lines here. And so now, if I go out of the camera view, as you can see, if I move the building around, the lines are only drawn onto where the camera is looking, which is why it's in real time here. So there's no lines that are generated on the lower building simply because the camera's not looking at it. And so, because the camera's animated as it's moving, the lines are automatically generated. Oh my goodness. Let's change that here. Sorry about that, folks. So I'll just make it a little bit lighter color here, just so that we can get something better. Does that look, here, let's make that lighter as well. Okay. That should be better. I agree. All right. Hopefully that should show up better there. Okay. Let me look here. Okay. Now, something that you usually want to do when working on just characters or complex objects is you'll have multiple colors in an object here. And, with that, in classic animation, they usually have lines to separate the color. And so the line art modifier has a very convenient feature here, where if you go under edge types and select material borders, it'll generate those lines. Now, I don't have different colors on this building right now, so nothing's been generated. So I will go ahead and I'll re-enable the show overlays here, just so that we can see what we're doing. Select the building, and I'm gonna go into edit mode, and I'm gonna simply select a couple faces here, and I'm going to change the color on them. So I will go ahead. I do have a couple toon shaders that are already pre-made here, so you can just really experiment with the ones that are already here on file. I'll go ahead and add a new material right here in the right modifier here. I'll select a new material. Let's just do a nice red for contrast. And then with the faces I want to be red selected, simply press assign, and they will be applied automatically. Now, if we go back into object mode, you can see there's lines that are automatically generated on the borders of the material. Once again, you do have to enable that manually, because if it's unenabled, once again, it's just not automatically generated. So you can just simply select that, and that's how you can really just go crazy with the modifier. Another technique that you can do for line art, adding it manually, is I'll go into edge mode, and I'll just select a couple edges here. And if you right click, you can add mark freestyle edge. So every single edge that you've essentially assigned to be a freestyle edge, if I go back into object mode, will automatically draw a line there. So you don't have to have separate materials. Based off of your geometry, you can set the line art to show right there no matter what angle it's currently at. Alrighty. With that, I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next step then. once again, I know I'm kind of going through it really quickly, but we'll go around and walk through step-by-steps on everything else moving forward.
Definitely, thank you. So next, we'll focus on the character itself, which is at the top of your skyscraper. So we don't want them to just be in a little T-pose. We want to actually give them some character, some personality. And thankfully, the Blender has a way of saving different poses or gestures on your animated characters. So that way you can have a fist and you can save it, so that way later you can just click it and it will move all the character's bones in the right place. And the same goes for the character's face and emotions that they show. And you can be able to swap between them with just a click. And so with that, so we'll go into of how to find that pose library and be able to how to select those different poses for your character.
All right. Excellent. Okay, so what we'll go ahead and do then is we will deselect the building and we'll go back up to the animation tab here just to essentially just try to keep it clean and cohesive. Now, right now I'm currently on frame 163 because I was showcasing the building. If you want to jump to frame 250, that's where we get to this. Here's the, I'm glad that it did this here specifically so that I can showcase this. So even though our little character rig is not in the same collection as the line art I created, as you can see right now the line art is still affecting that character here. Just to kind of way the Blender just generates them, and obviously for this situation that's not ideal. So the way to mitigate this is we'll go back, select the line art, and go back into the modifiers tab here. And if you click under intersections, what you can do is under collection masks, simply select one of these as a mask, and it will automatically remove the intersections off of the character on the different layer here. So that way we won't have to worry about any of that overlap specifically. Now, with that, just like I said, for the sake of it being able to show on the projector, I made the lines super thick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just simply hide them for now. Especially with animating, usually with the line art, you would generally wait until after everything's been animated, just because for the sake of rendering, it does take up a significant amount of just processing power to render line art on top of everything. So usually the best workflow is to animate your character and everything first, and then generate the line art on top of it, and you can just kind of essentially clean it up from there. With that, we'll go ahead and I will briefly explain how to control, move the rig, and the benefits of the asset library here. So we'll go ahead and select the rig here from our character, and we'll go up into pose mode. So you go up into object and we'll select pose mode. From here, we can go ahead and, all right. So another Blender shortcut here is, because of the camera and the sake of it, I can't really get a great view on my character. So to recenter your view on the character, simply press the period key on the number pad, and it will automatically refocus your character to the center. So now moving around the character will put him in the center, and it just makes the workflow a lot easier. There's a significant amount of lines and stuff here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide the backgrounds here just manually on the side. With that, on more complex models like rigs and stuff, the /number pad doesn't always work the greatest. So sometimes it is easier just to simply go in and hide the separate collections up here in the outliner. So we'll go ahead and do that to get a better view of the actual rig. Now, once again, we're kind of doing this under the assumption that you know the basic, navigation of Blender. Of course, if you're not and you're kind of lost, we'll go around and kind of discuss that here. But the very basics of moving objects in Blender is press the G key and you can move things around, press R to rotate, and press S to scale. And that works for every single bone here on the body. So we'll go ahead and we can select the hands, move them around with the G key, press R to rotate, and you can really just go really crazy with this rig. This is a rig that we downloaded for free off of blender.org actually. They used this for one of their animations that they produced a while ago, and it has a lot of really cool features that I've kind of simplified for the sake of this presentation. But one of the greatest things that they've added to Blender recently, which is just really huge and great for just a workflow, is the ability to save poses and essentially apply them at any point later on. So as you can see, one of the most complicated things to animate is the face. And with that, he just has a very basic, just plain face here at the moment. But we have the position, like the poses, for all of these different facial expressions saved. So what you do is you want to make sure that you have the entire rig deselected, just so that it'll actually work here. Because what it's doing is it's each pose, if you just click it, it'll change the expression to one that we've already saved. So instead of having to sit and manually go in and animate them, all you have to do is just animate the expression once, save it, and you can recall it at any point afterwards. So you don't have to animate it from scratch every single time. All you have to do is essentially just animate the extremes and then just reselect it from the asset library as you need it from the animation. And then, of course, you can tweak it depending on what your scene needs to be. So I'll go ahead and just click the default face here. And let's just give him a surprised look, essentially, here. With that as well, you can also blend between expressions. So say, we got this shocked face here, and I want to blend it to the sprite evil face. Say I want his expression to be somewhere between this scared and this angry. So what I'll do is I will just hover over the face evil asset here, hold the shift key, click and drag to the side, and you can literally blend between the expressions and really just kind of control exactly where you want it to be. So it's very robust and just gives you a lot of freedom as far as just speeding up the process. Is really you just have to animate the expressions once, and then you can just blend between them from there. So I'll go ahead and just put him back to his default, and we'll kind of go from there. I'll go ahead and just take the liberty of just going directly into the animation tab of this. With how I've animated the camera, starting frame 240 is essentially when the character's in view. So because I'm going to be animating just the character from now, I'm just going to go down to the frames here, and it says start at frame 1. I'm just going to start it at frame 240, just so that I can play the character animation on loop without having to essentially wait through the entire camera getting to this point in order to work on the character. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just do something really simple as far as the character's concerned, of just a simple wave. So I'm going to go ahead and just place this just in a very basic pose. I'm going to press A to select all the bones and press the I key to insert keyframes for location, rotation, and scale. And so now we have a keyframe here at frame 240. So this is just his basic pose at 240. I'm going to go ahead and just skip ahead to frame 260. Another very convenient feature that Blender has is auto keying. So what I'll do here is I'm going to go down to the bottom timeline and click this little dot here that says auto keying. And so now every time I move a bone, it'll automatically add a keyframe for it. So rather than having to manually add keyframes, every single time I move something, it'll automatically do it. So let's just say I put him in a nice just flying pose, I don't know, something like this. If I go back to frame 240, I'll press the space key to play the animation, and it'll automatically move them to where that is. The greatest thing about this is it only adds keyframes for the bones that you've moved. So, which is really convenient for keeping your animation workflow clean, because just once you get a lot of keyframes, if you're adding keyframes for every single bone on every single frame, even though they're not moving, it'll lead to a lot of issues later on and just get really complex and make you not want to animate. I've been there, it's not very fun. Auto keying is a really great feature of it'll only change, exactly what you're moving. So I'll just go ahead and skip a couple more here. I'll just move his head. I'll just move the arms down a little bit here and just do a quick waving animation. So I'm going to go ahead and move his hand here. It's clipping into his head, so I'll just get a better angle and move it here. And I'll give him a happy expression. We have a lot of hand gestures as well as just facial expressions down here. I'll give him just a very happy, just smiling face. So to select the entire rig when you're using the asset library, and then click it, and it will affect it from there. Once again, because I clicked this, it has automatically added keyframes for this expression. So when I go back here, we'll make sure that we put it back at the default over here. And so it'll automatically keyframe to this expression now that I've changed it. So we'll just do a simple wave. So we got his hand here. I'll jump ahead 5 frames, put it down here. And then another simple trick here is it's here, and I want it to just go back and forth, is with this keyframe selected, I'll just press Control-C, and then move 5 frames, Control-V, and just put it there. So just a very easy way to essentially just animate a back and forth. And I'll do that there. And I'll just end the animation here at frame 195. So when I press space, it'll just play this one looping animation so that you can really fine tweak it without just a best kind of user experience there. All right, Spencer, I want to switch back over to you. Once again, animation is a very complex and thorough endeavor, and this took me a long time to get into, so if you're confused or lost about it, don't fret, we'll be here to help you as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, definitely. And as you can see, Blender can do a lot of things, which also means there's a lot to see in the interface, so we can understand it being overwhelming as well. So as part of, now that we have the animation, or as we're making the animation, we'll render. Now, of course, you can see the live render in the interface as part of the rendered view, but that's not saved anywhere where you can be able to share it with someone else, either on social media or just with someone you know on your computer. So we have to render it to a file, whether it be an image or a video file. In this case, we'll just use a video file since it is the easiest to share, and with these machines, it's going to render pretty fast, thankfully. So we'll be exporting to a file. We'll also show you of some of the basic different render settings, as well as to tell it where to put the file so you don't lose it by accident after it's rendered, and of what file format to use.
Awesome. So we'll hop back into Blender for the final time here to wrap up this presentation. Just for the sake of the presentation itself here, I'm just going to render this small animation here. But while you guys are animating it, you'll probably want to start with frame 1 so that you can get the entire flyby of the sequence. For the rendering, it doesn't matter what object you have selected or what mode you're in. You can simply select the render view here from just the top of the outliner here. And we'll just click this second button here just under the camera. It looks like a little printer printing out an image. From here, you can select just the resolution of the camera as well as the frame rate. Default for most animations, especially the classic 2D animation, is about 24 frames a second. and you'll select the frame range. Once again, you can change it down here like I've done before, or you can change it from here. I'm going to be rendering out frame 240 to 295 just to render the sprite animation, but when you guys do it, if you want to include the building flyby, you'll start it at frame 1. And so the next thing to do is to simply set where you want to render the location to. And so that's where you'll go down to the output file here. You can click the little file browser here and just go to, just select a location on your computer where you'd like it to go. For the sake of example, I'll just click the desktop and I'll create a new folder and just call it render, something simple. You press accept, and now it'll render to that location. Now, before we can do that, we have to set what kind of file we want it to be put out as. Most common for animation, and just from my experience with this workflow, is to just do an MP4. So from file format, you'll select video, and then under encoding, under the container, you'll switch from Matroska here to MPEG-4, MP4. And then you can select the video quality from here. Usually I just do a perceptually lossless so that you can keep as much detail as possible. And then from there, all we have to do is save before you render, just in case. Really, depending on your hardware, Blender can crash while it's rendering. So you want to make sure you don't lose any work and just save before you do so. And then we'll just render out the animation. To do that, we'll just go up here to the Render tab up in the top right and click Render Animation. Now, depending on your hardware here, it could take anywhere from a couple moments to a couple hours. It really just depends on what you're working with. And it's just going to go frame by frame and render it out here. So as you can see, as it's rendering, it's just going frame by frame and setting the image. Once again, as you can see, just with how I've made the line art here, it's really thick and like clipping on the character here. That's something that you can, of course, adjust. I recommend before rendering out an animation, just render out still frame images so that you can tweak the line art the way you want it to be before essentially getting a final render here. For the sake of cohesion and just kind of throwing this together. I know it's kind of messy and we're kind of going all over the place, but it is kind of a complicated process, but we tried to make it as simple and cohesive as possible for you folks. And so we'll just wait a moment. Spencer, if you want to kind of talk about the final process while we're waiting for this, I'll leave it up to you.
But yeah, so again, as part of this, the render, the nice thing with rendering is that you don't have to render just at the end of the process. As we've mentioned, that you can render kind of as you go, and you could even use the viewport render as your way to preview how the animation will look. And so as we're wrapping up, we know that there's a lot of this that was very quick. We were only doing pieces to give you. We're going to open it up to be more of a workshop, in that if you have questions about any specific piece that we've already gone over, or if there's another aspect of Blender that you want to ask about, of how you want to tinker to your scene, let us know, and we'll just, as individual volunteers, go around.
So actually, we can go ahead and open up questions right now if you guys want to ask any questions about the process or anything right now if you would like. So yeah, that's about it. So looks like our render's finished, so I'll just press the X key to get out of render view. I'll minimize, just exit out of this, go to the desktop, we'll select our render folder, and from there you can see this is where our animation has gone to. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and start walking around. If you guys have any additional questions or concerns, of course, we'll address it and help you out. But that's the very gritty, admittedly, process of achieving that look. So there you go.
Awesome, and thank you for coming. We'll continue the workshop, but I appreciate it.